Hi guys, so it's the end of November, which means it's reading wrap up time. In November, I read 14 books. I read 8 on my Kindle, and then 6 physical books. I read mostly on my Kindle though because I was out visiting in Alberta, so it was just easier to read on my Kindle and I had more selection on there. I have my book journal here. Well, I did have it here. It's here with all my ratings, and sometimes I put comments, so those are there so I can talk about them. And I'm just going to talk about the books I read. So the first book I read in November was Prince of Sloth by K.L. Morrison. I did only read it because someone asked if I had read it and wanted my opinion, and I saw that Kindle Unlimited had it, so I knocked it out in like 3 hours. Definitely wasn't my thing. It was fantasy, kind of like the fantasy, and fantasy's never been my thing. They've always kind of received very low ratings, except for the Crow Prince. Really liked the Crow Prince. So I gave it a 2.75. It was also the third book in the series. I hadn't read the rest of them, so it probably would have been better if I read the entire series. So don't let me convince you not to read those because it might be your thing and it just wasn't mine. All I know about it was based off like the seven deadly sins, and that's all I remember. The next book I read was Evidence of the Affair on my Kindle as well by Taylor Jenkins Reid. That one was alright. Like, it was a short story. So, the problem with short stories or novellas to me are that they're not super developed. Like, the stories aren't very developed or thorough just because they don't have the time to do that. But it was a really cool format. That one was about someone having an affair, and the wife started writing to the husband of the person that was married to the kid. Anyways, it was cool because it was in letters. Like, it was formatted in letters, so it was like one letter and then the person would write back. It was definitely interesting. And I rated that a 3.25. I rated it a 3.25. The next book I read was King of Greed by Anna Huang. I had a really high expectations for that book. Like, such high expectations. I have it actually. So, this book was the next book I read, and I wanted to read this book so bad because they kept posting like excerpts from the book as teasers, and the teasers seemed really good, and they made everyone's expectations super high, but then the book itself didn't meet those expectations. So it was kind of disappointing because I like a lot of Anna Huang's books. I didn't read King of Pride because, well, I bought it and I just didn't get around to it. So that's just I'll get to that later. But this one just didn't match, or yeah, I don't know. I think I rated it. I rated it a 3.25. I rated it a 3.25, and it wasn't. It wasn't that it was bad. I was bored, and I wish there was a little more backstory on what happened before. Like, I think it would have been good if it was like a past and present timeline to contrast on how good the marriage used to be and what it is now. Yeah. So then I read Juniper Hill, which is the second book in the Eden series. The first one is Indigo Ridge. And I did like Indigo Ridge, but then Juniper Hill I just found very slow. Like, it took me a while to get into, and by the end I still wasn't really into it. It was cute though, and I rated that, I think, a 3.25 as well. Yeah, I rated it a 3.25. The next book I read was A Hue of Blue, and ever since finishing that book, I've been on the fence about where to rate it because while reading, I didn't quite enjoy it how I thought I would, but it's definitely a book that I'll keep going back to because the quotations in that, they're just so beautiful and I relate to them, and everything about that book is so real. And maybe that's why it was boring, because it was real and most people use reading as an escape from reality. But I did like it and I rated it a 3.25. No, I rated it a 3.5. Yeah, I rated it 3.5. I don't know what the next book I read was, so I'm gonna check. Next book I read was The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy. I love all Elle Kennedy books. No, that's a lie. I don't love all Elle Kennedy books. I didn't really like The Legacy and The Goal. Those are the two that I wasn't a huge fan of. But everything else I really enjoyed. And I just have such a soft spot for hockey romances, especially hockey boys. I mean, hockey boys in real life kind of suck. But the ones in books, top tier. So I read The Graham Effect, which is about Garrett Graham's daughter from the Off Campus series. It's like the next generation of Briar U. And I loved it. It was so much fun to read. I laughed. Liam asked me a few times what was so funny, and I know he didn't get it. Like, he doesn't understand what I found so funny, because honestly, it probably isn't funny to a whole bunch of people, but I am easily amused until someone actually wants me to be amused. But Luke Ryder, definitely one of my book boyfriends, and I don't know, I just really liked it. I rated it a 4 out of 5. Didn't rate it 4 out of 5, which is, which is equal with The Deal, which is the highest rated one in the Off-Campus series, and yeah, I just really liked it. Though this is not the Garrett Graham that I remember. Next book I read was Garnet Flats, the third book in the in the Eden series, which the first one was Indigo Ridge. And I mean, all those books were like okay. Like, they weren't like super special, or they're not super memorable to me, but it was alright. Apparently I really liked it though, because I gave it a 3.75 out of 5. Okay, then I read Jasper Vale, which is the 4th book in the Eden series, and I did really like that one. Don't know what was different about it, but it was like accidental marriage? Like fake marriage? Anyways, they got drunk and then got married in Vegas. But it was fun to read. I really enjoyed it. I gave that one a 3.75 as well. I must have liked that one too. I don't know. And then I read Crimson River, which is the 5th book in the series, and that one was my favorite. I don't know why, and I don't really remember what happens, but there was a little bit of like a mystery detective component to it, and I think that's what made me like it more, because it intrigued me. But I did like that one. I rated that one a 4 out of 5, so I really liked that one. And then I read The Way I Am Now by Amber Smith. Okay, so I love this book so much. I rated it a 4 out of 5, and I have page 410 and .260 forever bookmarked in my mind, because it is such an important part of the story, and just to me in general. Hi, can you get down, please? But this part, nothing will top that. I love it. I hope there's another book. 4 out of 5, 100%. I read this in one sitting. I got it, got home, started reading it, didn't put it down until I finished. Didn't even make dinner. I made Liam make dinner that night because I didn't want to make it because I didn't want to stop reading. Then I read Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. So I didn't actually want to read this book. Liam just said it'd be cool because he likes chess. I wasn't interested, just because I didn't really like The Love Hypothesis, and I wasn't interested in reading Love on the Brain. I do have Love Theoretically back there because I heard it's better. But this one didn't really want to read. So that day at the bookstore, they didn't have any of the books I did want to read, so I got it to give it a shot, and I actually really enjoyed it. I gave it a 3.75. It's a YA, and it made me want to watch Queen's Gambit and play chess, but I didn't play chess because I wouldn't be good at chess. So yeah, definitely recommend it though. It was cute. I finished Reckless Next by Elsie Silver. The Chestnut Spring series is so good, but this was my least favorite book, which is crazy because I think a lot of people, it's their favorite book. I just found it a little boring, but I was also in a book slump when I started reading it, and then I finished it this month. Yeah, that's all I got. I took a 5-month break from it. I started it back in June and didn't finish it until November. It was still good though, 3.75. Then on my Kindle, I read Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas, and oh my god, that one was interesting for sure. I didn't know what I was getting into. I just heard about it, and I was like, oh, I'll give it a shot because it's on Kindle Unlimited. And I was not expecting that relationship. And I think that relationship would make me very uncomfortable if that were me. I'm her age, I couldn't imagine. Like, could not imagine dating someone that old. But it was good. Like, it kept me interested for sure and intrigued. Yeah. I don't think it's my favorite Penelope Douglas book though. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. And then lastly, I read Travis by Mia Sheridan. This one. It is like a sequel, maybe, to Archer's Voice, but not as good as Archer's Voice. My cat is getting into so much stuff. Not as good as Archer's Voice. It was alright. It's nothing special. That's how I felt about it. I don't know. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Very average books this month, I think. Stop. Yeah. But that's all I read this month. Only 14. I hope you enjoyed that. And yeah. I'm hoping to post more soon. I'm trying. I'm really bad at it, but I'm trying. Most of my books don't fit on my shelf, so they're just there. Because Liam won't let me get another shelf. He wants to build it. So I just gotta compromise here. But I am going to buy more books. My Christmas list is pretty much just books.